This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello everybody, it's Neil Ball here. I appreciate you joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, the failures and successes. I am so excited to bring you our special guest, Dana Malstoff. But before I introduce you to Dana, I have a quote for you to ponder by Claude Levi-Strauss. The wise man doesn't give the right answers, he poses the right questions. The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Dana, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
Oh, I am so ready.
Dana Malstoff is a mother, business and content strategist, coach, speaker, writer, podcaster, brainstorm facilitator, and a blind spot reducer. Dana is the author of Boss Mom, the ultimate guide to raising a business and nurturing your family like a pro, and the founder of the Boss Mom movement. She serves boss mums who yearn for more time and less guilt when it comes to building their business and starting or raising their family by providing the tools they need to get more out of their content and business without sacrificing their family goals. When she is not creating new content or building new strategy tools for creative entrepreneurs, she can be found chasing her son on the beach, rubbing cheeks with her new daughter, or thinking of the next fun new family adventure. Dana, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us, the listeners, to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a mom, first off, and I am an entrepreneur. So I have my own business I've had for 3 years now. And my journey to becoming a mom and my journey to becoming an entrepreneur sort of happened simultaneously. That was not planned, but that's sort of how things happened. And it brought me down this path of feeling really guilty that I wanted to create and make a business and nurture a business in this world. But I also wanted to create and nurture a family as well. And how was I going to divide that time? And every time I wanted to nurture my business, it made me feel as though maybe I was giving away part of my heart that I should have reserved, all of for my son. And so I began to try and figure out how to get past this guilt. And that's how I came up with the Boss Mom book that just came out late last year in 2015. And to get help women get past this guilt they feel, that to really, really accept and give themselves permission that they have this passion inside them and this nature to create in this world. And that by creating a business, it's just another kind of baby. And by doing what we love, we're able to then show our children what a life well lived looks like. And that in turn helps us to raise a generation that has the mindset that it's important to do things that we're passionate about, and that you can actually grow a business and support your family by doing those kinds of things. And so that's sort of how I've built my Boss Mom tribe. And then within that, how I help people actually execute creating a business that thrives is through the content and business strategy, which really is all about this idea that we create content all day long. We create, products and services and things that we want to grow out and go out and sell. But very often we don't sit and think about the long game. We don't think about the strategy. We don't build a business plan. we don't think about how all of our family goals fit into our business goals and vice versa. So I help, mom entrepreneurs to pull that all together and really make sure that what they're creating in their business helps serve them in a way that really maximizes the return on them reaching the goals that they want to reach in life. And I execute that in my own business as well. So that's sort of where I help people. And I think a lot too with, content strategy, that all boils down to also helping them figure out, how do you build your tribe? How do you create content that drives people to your email list and then also to buy your services and do all those things. So, it's sort of everything that's encompassed in creating a strategy for your business that helps it grow.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples of how you've helped somebody do what you talked about there?
Oh, yeah, sure. So a lot of, what I do with clients is I have clients where I actually just help them build their business. So we will maybe say, okay, I've got somebody who is doing blogging. Well, how do you become intentional with exactly what you're blogging about to help you grow your business? So then we work through, okay, how are you going to actually monetize your business? Is it through affiliate marketing or is it through actually products you create? And what will that look like? And as we start to build that out, then how are we going in and creating content in your blog that drives people in that direction? So those are some instances of clients that I've helped. I've also done actual, launches where we say you're creating a course. And if we look at your course, then how are we, and I call it stacking, but a lot of other people might call it splintering or things like that. But how are we pulling out from that the content of your course to help create webinar content that drives people, that help create, opt-in content, that helps to create blog content that when people are being pulled into you, they're understanding your message, they're loving what they're hearing about you, and they're going from loving that to nurturing them through the cycle of bringing them all the way to that purchase decision of your actual larger content. So how does that all fit together? And then from a larger strategy standpoint, I work with clients a lot and I was just on a panel actually for a membership site talking about this idea that everything you create should multitask for you. So how do you make sure that you're creating blogs that drive people to different parts of your business, and then creating blogs that you can multitask that content to maybe put in membership site or go into more detail, but use that content in other places. So those are just some examples of things that I've done, and help people with from a content strategy standpoint.
Okay, so how do you actually make money from what you do? Obviously, you're helping all these people. So,
so I have I have four main ways that I bring in income that I think pretty is well succinct with how a lot of people bring in income these days. So I have coaching, one-on-one coaching clients. So I max out at 5, but I usually keep them at 3. So at the beginning of the year, I'll usually take 5 because people are, wanting to get their year going. But I generally keep 3 clients one-on-one throughout the year. I have a group coaching program. I'll be launching the new version of that and starting March 1st, but starting in February is when we'll promote. And that's called the Decision Map Academy, which is all about a 6-month program to help you create your business plan, create your vision boards, help grow your business and build your business so that, you're really confident about what you're creating and making decisions to help that business thrive become easier. And then I have an evergreen course called the Finding Your Course program, which helps teach people how to build their course. And that runs throughout the year. And I do Facebook ads and different nurturing things to help grow that participant base. And then I have affiliate marketing. So people that I partner with or smaller courses that I have on other platforms that help promote larger courses that I get a cut of that profit, things like that. So those become the 4 main areas that I pull in revenue.
Okay. Thank you for that. And can you tell us something more about your book, please?
Ooh, yes, I could talk all day about my book. That's an easy one. Yeah, so it's Boss Mom. It's the ultimate guide to raising a business and nurturing your family like a pro. And it's meant to be sort of a resource guide. You can read it all at once, but it's meant to kind of go through the stages of when you begin to think about starting your business and your family all the way to the toddler years. And there will be more Boss Mom books to come out. We're sort of in the works of making it a fun series. But the main point of it is that it correlates how we look at our business and how we look at our family, and how they're both children that we nurture and raise, and how we can learn from each for each other. So there's chapters like, is your business teething? And is your baby in business as cute as you think? And that kind of thing. Yeah. And so it teaches you to look at your business in a way that helps you really understand that you are truly raising a business. You're not just running a business, you're raising a business. And at some point that business is going to take on a life of its own and personality of its own. And you need to recognize and look at that and be able to learn from that instead of fighting that. Because that's how you're going to allow your company to grow into something healthy and beautiful that contributes out into the world. And the same thing with your children. And it also walks you through getting away from the guilt of, how do you deal with overwhelm? How do we manage our business when we have kids and you get pregnant, or you have kids and everybody gets sick for a week? How do you build a business that can sustain itself when you have other priorities in your life that are really important, like family? And it just walks through that, and it becomes a support system for the women that are in the Boss Mom community to read that and know that they're not alone, that it's hard to raise a family and have a business. I think it's hard for men as well. I just, as a woman, I think I come from a place of knowing what it's like as a woman. And so that's sort of become my tribe. But I think being a parent and an entrepreneur in any capacity is tough. We, on a daily basis, face priorities and what's important to us and what we're going to accomplish and why we're accomplishing it. And you say the phrase for posterity a lot, because we're doing things for our children and for the next generation. And that's challenging. And so it helps provide the support to help women go out and create businesses that are amazing and help raise the next generation that's going to create businesses that are amazing.
Mm-hmm. And what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Well, I am all about creating. My family growing up, we called ourselves the MacGyver family because we just love to build. My dad builds and restores vintage cars. My brother is a sculptor. My mom does illustrations, and my stepdad is a writer. And so I come from a family of creators. And so that's what I do every single day is I figure out how can I create beautiful but useful things in this world that will help people run their business and raise their family. And how can I do that in a way that makes their lives easier? So shorten that learning curve for them, teach them while also motivating them. And so every day I wake up and I have something on my plate that allows me to create. And that really drives me and excites me.
What is it that drives you?
I think this is different than when I was in corporate America. I think this is the difference between someone paying you and you creating a business where you are in charge of everything you make, is that I have control over what my future looks like. I have the ability to say, this is what I want and I need to make this much more, or I need to work with these kinds of people and I can make it so. And I think that's a beautiful driver in business, is that I have that control. It's also super scary that I have that control, because that means I also have to 100% own my failures. But then I can easily pick myself up and go. I mean, the two words I talk about that I never say anymore after having started my own business is I never say politics and I never say red tape, because I can be as agile and flexible as I want to be in my business, and I can pivot and I can tweak as much as I need to in my business to get me to what I want. And that's beautiful. And I think the most important thing that I help my clients with, and I am really conscious about in my business, is I have to know what I want. And as soon as I know what I want, then it's a driving force to me to be able to do whatever I need to do to get that.
And how do you relax when you're not working in your business?
Not working. What is that like?
I don't know.
No,
I've heard about it.
There's a lot of things. One is like my mornings are my kid playtime, which is really, sometimes I think taking care of my kids is super stressful or super challenging. But the mornings is my time. We play. I make sure that I'm consciously remembering that playing is fun. because, I think we're like, oh, I got to get the kids things together and I got to prep for a meeting I'm doing or an interview I'm going to be on. And I've got to do all these things. But in the morning, we get up and it's just what they want to do. You want me to get into your little spaceship or sit in our pantry and play with your cars and pretend they're flying? Yes, that's what I want to do. I love that. And I get to be a part of their life in a way that's really interactive and is really about creating adventures together. And that is extremely relaxing and rewarding for me.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. And do you have any role models who are entrepreneurs?
Oh, gosh, I have so many role models. I was just talking about this today that I wrote a blog on LinkedIn maybe a year or two ago that was about I think there was 11 different types of mentors that I talked about. And there are different times in our lives when you have them. And there's, your cheerleader mentors, which are the people that you love, that are your family and those kinds of people. And those are the ones that help support you when you feel down. They help tell you that no matter what, you're amazing and they just love everything about you. They also don't understand the business world that you live in. They may not be in your space. They're obviously not your ideal client. So you take their love, but you weigh their advice, because sometimes their advice is going to be born out of love, but not out of experience. But then what I'm finding right now is most prominent in my space is what I call proximity mentors. And those are the people that are not necessarily farther along in their business than me. They're kind of where I am. And we are, I would say, colleagues versus someone being, at a different advancement than me. So they were in proximity to each other in terms of our business, but we have different things that we're better at. So I may have written a book, but somebody else may have started a membership site that's really successful, or somebody else might have done this group coaching. And we learn from each other by proximity. So one that I was on a call with today and helping her through her membership site is Jacqueline Malone. And she has the All Up in Your Lady Business podcast, and she has the Chasing Dreams and Littles incubator, which is her membership site. Mm-hmm. And I am learning so much from her about what she's doing and how she's running her business that is so helpful in my business. Even though we're on the same track, we're able to teach each other because of just the proximity of saying, here's what I've learned and here's what I've succeeded and failed at, and taking notes from each other. So she's one. I love Heather Crabtree, who has the Savvy Business Owners Facebook group, which is wildly popular. And she just launched a Savvy Business conference, which is great. And so there's, these women that are sort of in my space that are just super motivating and really wonderful to see how they're growing their business. And that's where I've been looking to lately.
Mm-hmm. You talked about mentors there, and obviously you do coaching. How important do you think it is for people to have a mentor or a coach?
I think it's vital. So mm-hmm. I think there are 3 things you have to grow a business. I talk about 3 tools you need, and people go, oh, good. What software is it? And I go, no. The 3 tools you need to start your business and grow your business is you need a coach, you need a mastermind group, and you need a community. Yeah. And so my current coach is Dawn Mars. She's from Mars Marketing. She also is the co-host of the Social Media Happy Hour podcast. Mm-hmm. And she's amazing. And she fills a need for me, which is I need to get better at what you would call the nurturing system, which is once I have people in my community, how do I nurture that relationship? And that's something where I get so excited about getting people into my community that I don't, have an expertise in the nurturing part. I'm sort of new to that. So she's been really helping me hone in on that. And it's just been an amazing coach. So, and I always have a coach, and I always make sure the coach fills the need that I have. When I talk to coaches, if I want to get one, then I will talk to 5 or 6 or however many it takes to feel like not only do they get me and my brand and understand what I want to accomplish, but that they also fill the need for me. So I don't need somebody to motivate me or hold me accountable. I'm very good at that. I need somebody that's going to help me go to the next level. So I find a coach that's at that next level. So Dawn fills that for me. She's amazing. And then a mastermind group. You can either do paid or not paid. I have actually yet to pay for a mastermind group. I've been lucky enough to be invited to some really amazing ones. And the best way I've found to get a mastermind group is through through in-person events. So I will go to, for instance, Hal Elrod is one of my favorites. He's a friend of mine. He wrote The Miracle Morning, and he does his event here in San Diego. So every year I go to that, and almost every year I find an amazing group of people and we start a mastermind group. And from there, I got my book coach to help me write my book last year. I've gotten multiple different clients that we've referred to each other. We've helped each other grow our businesses. We've been on each other's podcasts. So, find a mastermind group that works for you, because that helps you understand ideas, come up with, brainstorm things, but also be held accountable. And then your community. I have a Facebook community, multiple Facebook communities that I engage in, that I've sort of found my tribe, and I reach out to them to help validate the ideas for what I'm going to do in my business. So what I'm going to name things, what I'm going to do next, when I'm going to launch things, all that kind of stuff, so that it helps me make sure that I have a finger on the pulse of what my ideal client actually needs. So have a coach, have a mastermind group, and have a community.
Great advice. Dana, can we just go back to the time before you were an entrepreneur? And can you tell us about what difficulties you had to overcome when you started your business?
Oh, yes. So I don't know if anybody will resonate with this. I have a feeling it's possible. But when I was in corporate America, so I had big, ideas about what I was going to do and be. And I'd finally gotten to a spot. I was at a director position, and I was making six figures. So that was one of my goals. I want to be in a management role, and I want to be making six figures. So I got to that point, and I was with a smaller sort of patient advocacy company, and I helped build behavior modification coursework. So diabetes management, tobacco cessation, that kind of thing. I loved program development and helping people to create change and action in their lives. Well, this organization kind of went into new management, and they were, you could see, so I think it's good to always be realistic about the lay of the land, is I could see that they were sort of moving the people in management out to replace them with the people that this new management knew, so I was associated with the old management. You want people in that, totally knew, could see that was happening. And I recognized to not get mad about it, because that's what I would do. I would want to make sure there are people that fit what I'm doing and get rid of the people that aren't, so I can run the business the way I want to. So I basically said, I'm going to be proactive. I went to the new, head of the sort of chief marketing officer was the person. And I went in and I said, look, I kind of see what's going on. I have a team that I love. I would like to put together a 90-day package of me sort of transitioning out before you'd bring anybody else new in. And they said they loved it. They loved, my approach to it and everything like that. So I had 90 days to find a new job. And I basically went out and I told my husband, there's one other company I want to work for. And if I don't get the job, then I think I should start my own business, because I think now is a good time. We had a bunch of money saved up. We, both had good incomes. We could financially handle it. And he said, okay, great. So I applied for this job, and they called me, and it was between me and one other guy. And they called me and they said, Dana, we love you. We would love to work with you, but this guy just had this other experience that you don't have. So we're going to give the job to him, but we'd really love to find a way to work with you. And that's when it clicked in my mind. Oh my gosh, if I own my own business and I was just a consultant, to businesses or a coach, I could do that. You could hire me for a project. You don't have to hire me as a whole, a person that you pay and give benefits to. And so in my mind, it just was the perfect thing to shift my mindset to be able to go, wow, being a consultant and having my own business could be amazingly successful and rewarding if people really want to work with me, but it's not to go in and work with one company. And so that was the beginning to starting my own business and shifting that mindset about how I was going to grow my business. And so what my friend at the Art of Epic Wellness, Nicole Keating, who I've been on her podcast and love what she's doing. She's another proximity mentor that I have, that she says turning poison into medicine, which is I could have taken the idea that I needed to leave my job, that I was kind of being a little bit pushed out and those kinds of things, and let it get me and let it be negative in my life. But I decided to use it as something that would be a positive force in my life. And it helped jettisoned me into starting my own business and to what I am today, which is working with people I love, doing what I love, and growing my business in a way that works for me and my family.
Mm-hmm. I just love that phrase, turning poison into medicine. Wow.
I know. Isn't it awesome? She calls it up-leveling and unburdening, which I love. Like, I use that in my life so much now. Like, if I'm going to do something in my business, how can I up-level it? And what am I putting in my life that's not useful, that's not beneficial? Who am I putting in my life that's not useful and not beneficial? And then when I recognize that, how can I unburden myself of those negativities? And it's really helped me make sure that I'm only surrounding myself with people who get me and love me, and only surrounding myself with things that are helping me bring my purpose to life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's just beautiful. Did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
Well, I got pregnant.
Okay.
Not necessarily a doubt, but I would call it, a little bit of something that totally throws a wrench in things, in the sense that I'd never had a baby and I never had a business. And I was in a scenario of trying to figure out how to give birth to both, which is just a whole crapload of challenges all in itself. So I often wonder if my business would have really become super successful before. But then this is what I love about recognizing how the universe, bends itself for you, is that we had my son, and I had a business, but it was kind of working, I had some clients, but nothing, crazy. I was trying to figure out exactly what my purpose was and what I was doing. And I'm originally from San Diego, and we were living in Columbus, Ohio. And I had my son, and I would go and work at at a coffee shop, and I would see like a mom with her little kid, and then her mom. So like the grandma there. And it just made me cry. Like, oh my gosh, my family's out in San Diego, and I'm really close to them. So I told my husband, I want to move back to San Diego. And of course, for him, we're like in the dead of winter in Columbus. And he's like, I'll quit my job tomorrow. Done and done. Like that, it was an easy sell. But we got here, and it turns out it was the best thing we could have ever done, because San Diego is a bustling community of entrepreneurs, especially in the online service industry. There's tons of like all the really million people like John Lee Dumas, who does Entrepreneur on Fire. I'm now friends with him. I'm having lunch with Kate Erickson on Friday. I went to his book launch. I'm friends with Hal. Like I'm, getting introduced to all these people that are really well known in our industry because of my proximity, because of me living here. And so it turned out that my business was able to really significantly grow because we moved here, and we would not have moved here if I had not had children. So while I think of the challenges it was to have a son and try and start a business at the same time, I recognize that the universe presented itself in a way that by having a son, it prompted us to move in a place where my business could really thrive. So it all kind of fits together.
Mm-hmm. And you wrote the book as well about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Well, I make mistakes every day. I continue to make mistakes every day. So that's definitely true. I think I wouldn't say that I like to think that mistakes don't slow my journey. Of course, we would all love it if we could make a mistake, move past it, and have some epiphany. I think ultimately a lot of our mistakes are a series of mistakes that build up to the success. But I do think that one of the there's two big mistakes I think that I made and a lot of people make. And one is that I thought I could do everything by myself. I thought I needed to do everything by myself. And that's a huge mistake. You are not an island. Business is not products and services. Business is people. And the only way to grow your business is to recognize that you need people. You need people to support you. You need people to help bring expertise in areas that you are not an expert in. You need people to love you and promote you, and you need people to, buy into what you're doing. So, you have to get past the idea that everything has to be made by you, done by you, originate from you. Like there's just as much that you can become successful from curating as you can from creating. So to keep that in mind is really important. And then I think the other thing too is that as an entrepreneur, we have the sort of the wonderfulness of being able to assess and pivot when we need to. Mm-hmm. And I think one of my biggest mistakes is when I started out, I did not do what I do now. I did more of a mindful communication coaching. It felt really in line with what I was doing in corporate America. But it was something that I was interested in, but it didn't, like, there's this Venn diagram. You need to, maybe I should send you the image so you can have it in your show notes. Mm-hmm. But there's this place where you've got, what you're amazing at, what comes easy to you. Yeah. And then you've got the box of what you're actually, what you want to do, what brings you, makes you, your heart sing. And then the third one is, what people actually need. And you have to find that little spot in the middle where you're doing what comes easy to you, that you really love, that people need. And I think in the beginning I was doing what I really loved, but I wasn't necessarily pulling it into what I'm really good at. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't positive of how to place it in a way that people really need. And what I discovered is when I started in the place of what am I really good at, what comes easy to me, and that is strategy, content, creation, this idea of creating content, which I did in corporate America. And being a mom and an entrepreneur, when I pulled all those together, I figured that what I'm good at in terms of helping people with strategy. Then I recognized that part of that strategy is being mindful and communicating to your community so you understand what they need, filled that part of what I love. And then being able to go out and build a community of boss moms and understand really what they need. And I was able to hone in on that center part. And I think my mistake was waiting too long to recognize that I needed to pivot, mm-hmm. that you need to be agile as a business. And if mm-hmm. it's not working, you assess why and you immediately make changes, because entrepreneurism is all about trial and error. But it doesn't work unless you recognize the error and quickly move past it. It's called a trial and error because mm-hmm. trials are meant to be a short period of time. It's not meant to be over the length of your business. That would be like business in error. So trial and error means the second you recognize it's not working, you figure out how to tweak it or pivot so that it can work. And I think the mistake is holding on too long, and we reach this opportunity cost where it's, like when you're gambling, at some point you may have put money in, but if you don't stop, you're going to continue to lose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could send us that Venn diagram again, so we can visualize what you're talking about there. That'd be nice. Can we now talk about your entrepreneurial journey a little bit, Dana?
Sure.
Do you think culture is important from the beginning in a business?
Oh, absolutely. I think culture is everything. Mm-hmm. I think that I'll tell you this. In the solopreneur world and in entrepreneur world, culture is your brand. I was just talking about this today, that one exercise that I really love when I help people to create their brand, because I work a lot with creative entrepreneurs and they love, Pinterest and their boards and things, is that we actually visualize a home as your business. And if you were going to invite people over, how would you want them to feel? Mm-hmm. Would you want them to feel cozy? Would you want them to feel at home, like they could just, get in the fridge if they wanted and pop up their feet on the couch and feel like open and supported? Would you want them to feel like it's edgy and new and that they need to immediately take action? What is it that you want them to feel? Mm-hmm. And that is the essence of culture, is that you are creating an environment, an emotional environment that creates a certain type of reaction and interaction. Mm. And so even if you are owning a business that's brick and mortar that has people that come to work every day, or you're in an online business where you're in social media and you're building a community there, your culture is your brand. It's the feel and the look and the things that you do. Do you want to create a place where people can feel like they can get up from their desk and play and have fun because that they're able to actually get their work done better when that happens? Or are you in a place where it says, hey, you have to be here 9 to 5 and this is what you have to do? Are you in an online community that says, hey, I want you to be open and supportive because we don't judge here? Or do you want in a place that says we're all about just action? Like if you're not going to give tips and practical information, then this isn't the place for you. So the culture you create ultimately decides who will gravitate towards you. And if you're not really conscious about your culture and the kind of brand that you want for your business, whether it's a big business or just you, then you're going to start attracting people that aren't the right people. And there's nothing worse in your business than having team members or clients that are bad fits. Mm-hmm. It's bad for your soul because they won't value you. They will nickel and dime you. They won't be happy. They will eventually leave, and you'll have spent time and effort and love and sweat and tears on people that don't truly get you and aren't willing to pay you, and it ultimately can end up being the demise of your business. So yes, culture is everything.
And knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, besides getting helping people, letting people support you, which is big, getting a team, of people, even if you can't afford it to get into that. I think one of the things that would have really helped shorten my learning curve and build my community faster is so much more collaboration. Now there's a big part of my business where there are other, boss moms like Jacqueline Malone, who's in the Chasing Dreams and Littles. She does something similar to me. She actually has a community that's very similar to mine. They have little bit differences, but her and I collaborate a lot. We promote each other a lot. So, doing that sort of affiliate marketing, even if there's not necessarily a pay part of that affiliate marketing, but you're promoting each other. Mm-hmm. That's huge for my business. And I know other people's businesses is that, that growing trending phrase that collaboration over competition is so true. Like find your tribe, find people who are, who also, serve your tribe in different ways and find ways to collaborate with them because they will help get you visibility. They will help get you out there. They will help you grow your business. And those are vital. So I think, definitely the collaborations are the place to be now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And how much does gut feeling influence your decision in your business or decisions in your business?
Gosh, I would say it's at least half. I think I used to have it be 100%. I would just go with my gut and what felt good. And what I found, in really growing my business and creating a good strategy for my business is that I use my gut to help me create my strategy. And then I don't have to worry about it not feeling or settling well because everything I decide in my business, I bounce it off of my business plan and my vision board I create a business plan vision board, which is part of what my group coaching does, so that I can easily visually look up for every decision I make and make sure it really resonates with everything I want to accomplish this year in my business and my purpose and my ideal client. So I don't have to really use my gut as much because I used my gut to create a plan that I know is in line. And there's just sometimes when I get those, people asking me to do things where I'm not able to really see my vision board and I go, God, I don't know if that really fits right. And then I'm able to come home and easily just gauge at that and go, okay, now I know why. I know why, because it's really not going to guide me here, or it's going to use my time over here. That's not going to be really helpful in a way that I want to accomplish this year. So hopefully that answers that. Yeah,
well, it's your personal opinion, isn't it? But I think in fact, I was reading something the other day about this, and scientists now have discovered that it's actually more than about just your brain. There is actually something real about gut feeling. And it's, I'm not going to try and explain it anymore, but it was something that Daniel Goleman talked about on LinkedIn the other day. And it's really interesting just sort of getting to understand all of that. So, Dana, life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not, and many will say that the only constant is change. So how do you try to keep up with change? Yes, I love this. Change is happening every single day, I think, in our businesses. And I'm not the first one to say this, but, if you're riding the wave of things you've done in the past without recognizing how you'll need to alter according to the way things are changing, especially now with technology and, the millennials are becoming the people that are becoming the purchasers now, that you will fall behind. So change is absolutely a huge reality in business. And I was saying the other day that it's funny when you do research to write a book, they tell you to look at what is out in the market. Is it a saturated topic? All those kinds of things. But you only have to look 5 years. Anything that was written more than 5 years ago becomes irrelevant. So if you wrote a book that's on a almost exact topic of something that was written 5 years or 6 years ago, then they, and you were looking to get it published, they wouldn't pull that old book in as a reason to say, no, it's no longer relevant. And I love that totally puts into perspective when you're thinking about your business, is thinking about how do I stay relevant? And I think that's the big thing with change is, how do I stay relevant in my kids' lives? How do I stay relevant in keeping myself healthy and the tools I have to do that? And the beautiful part about change
is that it actually creates opportunity for you. Because if you stay stagnant, then you're missing out on potential things that could make your life easier, that could help you grow. You know, for instance, I was trying to use a particular project management tool, and I was trying and it just wasn't working for me. But I really wanted to create a place where I could manage everything in my business and my team. And then Trello came out. I'm a massive fan of Trello, which is a free, project management tool. I basically live in Trello now. I call it my work wife. And and it's a new tool. It's a complete change. It took a little time for me to get used to it, but once I got used to it, it has changed the way I run my business. I'm actually able to take on more clients if I'd like to, and able to do more every day because I have this system and I've created this. But I had to accept that I needed to change. I had to accept that I needed to try something new, and that there's possibly things out there that might fit better with me. I was on another example is I was on a panel today talking with a Q&A. And someone said, I used to build websites, and now I want to move into coaching. But the people that I talk to keep asking me to build their websites. What do I do? And I said, there's this awkward transition that you're not going to be able to get past, where you're going to have to say no to the things from before so you can say yes to the things of tomorrow. And, I think that's truly important, that when you're talking about change, you have to accept that in order to embrace change, there are things that you're going to have to start saying no to that you used to accept, and things that you're going to have to start saying yes to that you maybe didn't even realize were there. But when you recognize that that's okay, that saying no to the wrong things means that you have space to say yes to the right things, is what's going to help you guide you through the change in an easier transition and ultimately grow your business.
Wow, fantastic answer. And what is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it?
Yes. So actually, you mentioned Daniel, what is his last name?
Daniel Goleman.
Yes. And I believe, so he wrote Emotional Intelligence.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. One of my favorite books. I also read Focus, which he wrote. Huge fan of him.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely, emotional intelligence is get to know that, just that topic in general. And he's very well known in that. So that would be a huge one. There's a book I'm reading right now that I'm in love with, and it's Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I think she is awesome. And I love the way she approaches the idea of creativity. So that's great. And one that I think totally, like my husband has mentioned, he's like, I don't get it. This makes no sense for business. But The 5 Love Languages is an amazing book, because you'd think it's just for like romantic relationships. It's by Gary Chapman. But it's not. It's about every relationship. And it's basically this idea that there are 5 ways that we feel loved. And that means that we feel valued. Because when we feel valued, that's when we feel love. And we were talking about culture. Culture is all about helping people to feel loved and valued, and that you care. And when they feel that way, they trust you. And when they trust you, they pay you. It's this nice cycle. But it starts with understanding how they need to be loved and valued. This book gives you 5 ways that we feel love. And it actually has like an assessment you can take that you can see how you feel loved. Like, what does that look like for you? And so what's great is you can start using the questions in there to look at your target audience and see how would they answer this question. And it helps you build tools that are more useful for them, helps you communicate to them and provide them with things that are meaningful. So for instance, you might have a group of people that really need, that they love to receive gifts. So I have a community where my clients, like Valentine's Day, I'm making Valentine's gifts for all of my clients, because my clientele will really feel valued in that way. Maybe you have someone who wants to be verbally celebrated, and that's kind of how they feel valued. And you're going out and you're doing that with your clients. And so I think this book seems like it's not for business, but I'm telling you, 5 Love Languages, read it and totally just get to know it, because it will help every relationship in your life.
Okay. Thanks for that. Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you of a free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you haven't already signed up, then you will qualify. Dana, what I'd like you to do now is to visualize the future. So what one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
I think it's funny. I think I have that mentality every day that I cannot fail. There's no failing. There's only learning.
Okay.
I feel like that sounds like a Yoda phrase. But I think that if I knew I couldn't fail, like almost as if I knew, I didn't, that everything was just going to happen the way I hadn't thought it would happen, which of course never is actually how it works out. But I think that I would have a empire.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? I would have an empire, to have a raving community of massive amounts of boss moms around the world that are, starting businesses and doing their sort of side hustles and growing things in a way that's amazing. And I would, have a family situation where my husband is, and this is really what I'm building my business towards anyway, where my husband is able to quit his job so that he can really start to figure out what his true passion and purpose is, like he gave me the space to do, and create an environment, or have an environment where we can go, for a month and go spend it on a dude ranch with my family while also making money in my business. I would have a non-for-profit business that helps create resources for moms that want to start a business but can't afford to get daycare or childcare or help or business coaching, and give them those resources so that they can have that space to grow a business, because we have so many beautiful minds that maybe don't have the resources to do that. So yes, it would be an empire that would be supportive and useful, while also, helping me live the lifestyle that I would love to live. And yeah, that's what I would do.
Well, I think you normally have to have a movement to create an empire. And I think you've already got that, haven't you? So.
Well, we are starting. Yes, we are well on our way. One of my favorite people is Melissa Cassera, and she's talks about what she calls the swirl effect, which is basically she helps you write copy that infuses your personality and your business. But she talks about this idea of a movement, and she talks about the idea of, pulling people on this journey and everything with you. And she talks about sharing your content and everything. And I don't know. I love the way she inspires me always to create a movement that's really powerful and get people excited about it. And so, I feel like we're getting there. It'll take time, but everything takes time.
And what skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
I think automation. Yeah. That's something that I'm working on a lot this year. Is once you figure out exactly, it's hard to automate when you are still figuring things out. But now that I've got a good established business, so when I had my son, I was building a business, and when I had my daughter, I was growing a business. And so when you're at that point, when you're ready to grow, it's all about the automation. So part of the coach that I have now, and what she's helping me do, is really create that automation so that a lot of things run on their own, and a lot of the way that I approach different things in my business become really systematic. And by doing that, it frees up my mental capacity to be creative in the really impactful and powerful areas that will then allow me to exponentially grow my business to the next level.
Now it's time to zoom out even further. In 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say?
Well, I would love it to say, Dana Malstaff, the boss mom movement sensation creator, that with her multiple, best-selling Boss Mom series, is we couldn't catch her to interview her because she's off spending Christmas in Paris with her family.
Sounds good.
But she'll be doing her always booked Boss Mom retreat in San Diego, in the winter, and is out in her community because of the business she's built, able to have time to go and contribute back to her community, both virtual and in person, and help to raise and nurture her children. And spend time with them while also, managing a community that helps women and mom entrepreneurs thrive.
Okay, I will look
something like that.
I'll look forward to reading that then.
I know. Me too.
We are now at this part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets with us. So, Dana, what is your favourite quote and how have you applied it?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm pulling out a book right now so that I can tell you about it. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I forgot this was a question. So I'm going to, there's a quote. It's a book and it's called, this is, I guess if I was thinking about books I love, it's called The Law of Divine Compensation by Marianne Williamson. Really great book. And she has a line in here that I just love. And it basically talks about, let's see. Say the greatest gift we give ourselves is often our willingness to change our minds. And that's one of the things that I say I love about being an entrepreneur is that we have that ability. We have that ability to pivot and to shift. And when we give ourselves permission to do that, we allow ourselves to seize opportunities that can truly help us and our businesses grow. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's really good, that. And do you have any favourite online resources that you can share with us that would be useful?
Yeah, so if you are a creative entrepreneur, I think that the Savvy Business Group Facebook group is a great place to be. Obviously the Boss Mom Facebook group, if you're a mom entrepreneur, is a great place to be. I also, like I said, Melissa Cassera is awesome. Her all the resources she provides and in her email list as well. And she's always giving away amazing workbooks and things in her email is awesome for you to help write your copy for your business, which I think is something that a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, even as a journalism major, are very lacking in. There's an art to that. So I think she's a must that you want to go in and figure that out. Her online resource, which does cost a little money, it's called The Swirl Effect, is a workbook that I love and go back to time and time again that really helps you hone in on that message. So I think those are just to start some really great places to go and find some good content.
Okay, thanks for that. And now with all your knowledge, what is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
I would say that to make everything that you do in your business a conscious effort, that to make everything that you are creating and everything that you are doing on a day-to-day basis that you are gauging it against a sounding board to make sure that it's actually guiding you where you want to go, which means you have to think about where you want to go. And if you haven't thought about that yet, then you're potentially just creating a bunch of things that might not get you anywhere. So that strategy up front may seem like it's in that important but not urgent quadrant that we often neglect. But by doing that little bit of work, you can absolutely help to create a business that will thrive and where you're not exerting yourselves in areas that you aren't able to maximize its benefit.
Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Dana's favourite resource or her favourite book, you can find the links on Dana's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Dana or Dana Malstaff in the search box. Dana, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
About my business? Oh, goodness. No. I think if the whole point of, some of these interviews and things when people are listening to these podcasts, if you resonate with me, if you find that you are falling in love with me as a tribe should with somebody that they, enjoy hanging out with, then look, go to the Boss Mom website and learn more and let's connect and let's engage. I think that's always the first step, and the most important step is to just find your tribe. And then I think ultimately, even if I am not a good fit for you in being part of my community, is go out and find your community. There's nothing more rewarding than finding your tribe. They will support you. They will encourage you. They will help you take action in your business, which is what an entrepreneur does, is take action and ultimately help you bring your purpose to life, which is all, we could ever hope for people that are looking to build something.
Dana, you've shared some absolutely great tips and advice with us today. Thank you so much for giving us so much insightful information. It's just been mind-blowing, quite honestly. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Well,
you are welcome.
I love to talk. This is easy.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.